Hello, and welcome to Bruce Mackey's Library. I'm your host, Mix Lucey, and today we're going to have an interview with the wonderful Degrassi Kid. This is actually my second interview with them ever. If you haven't listened to my first interview with them, it's not required listening, but I do recommend it. That is where they announced their Snake Book Club, which will be referenced in this interview, along with many other great things that Degrassi Kid does. Now, onto the interview. Hello and welcome to the library.
James, I'm so excited to be here.
For any new listeners, can you please give name and pronouns and your Degrassi background short version?
You don't want a 40-minute podcast just for my introduction? I can. My name is Jocelyn. I go by Degrassi Kid online. I prefer they, them pronouns, but I do call myself a girl and she and all that stuff. Long story short, I got into Degrassi when I was in high school. It helped me come out of the closet. And it was through the character Fiona Coyne, I got to connect with the actress who played Fiona Coyne. And a few years ago, she told me to start a podcast. And now I'm a Degrassi content creator who makes content with my friends like you.
That is a great short version of who you are to everyone. And can you say what you're here to announce?
Yes. I am here to announce the Degrassi Junior High Spike Book Club. We are going to be reading through the original Degrassi book by Loretta Castellarin and Ken Roberts with our little Degrassi Kid Discord community.
That is so much fun. I am very excited.
I'm excited that you're excited about it.
Well, of course, I am pumped for any book club ever, but Degrassi is always my number one favorite.
I like that. Me too.
This is actually your fourth Degrassi book club. Can you tell us if it feels easier every time you host?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say it feels easier every time to host because I'm more and more comfortable with our community on the Degrassi Kid Discord, less so about the book club specifically. I know what our friends are like, what they're interested in, what engages them the most, and what maybe their main draws to reading this Spike book would be. So I think that's what makes me most comfortable about hosting a book club, less so than the fact that I've already done this a few times.
Is that because it's different every time in any way?
Yeah, I would say because I've done kind of two different kinds of book clubs. One of them was the Mother of All Degrassi book club with Linda Schuyler, the Whatever It Takes book club with Stephen Stone, and those came with, oh my gosh, those came with autographs. We had bonus kind of content coming out, extra homework. We had an author's Q&A with them and a live meet and greet. And preparing for that is so much different than when I prepared for the Snake Book Club, which was just kind of, the group of us getting together. There wasn't as big of a finale. I would have loved to get Stefan Bergren at the finale, but, it's nice to also just have these kind of smaller, low-key events. So they're so different to prepare for that mainly learning through the community and what they're interested in is what prepares me for them the most.
That's actually really true. It was so much nicer to have that small group and get to know everyone better. And we went through the history of queer television for the Snake Book Club. Yeah. But for Stephen Stone, we went through music history with Dave, and that was really nice to get to know Dave more and his music taste and the Beatles.
That was really, really fun. I really liked that.
Yeah, it was almost every week we had about 30 minutes of listening to music videos and Dave really explaining to us a lot of the cultural significance of the music mentioned in Stephen Stone's book.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was nice to have people in the community who connect with these things in specific ways and able to bring their own interests to the book clubs.
Yeah, it really is kind of like a group effort to do a book club.
Yeah, it's like a group project. I like that.
You say that it helps when you know the community's interests and everything like that. Is that why you chose this book in particular, or why did you?
Yes. So I decided to do another Degrassi Junior High Book Club based on the reaction to our Throwback Thursdays events. As you know, every week on the Discord, we watch old episodes of Degrassi. We started at the Kids at Degrassi Street. We worked through Degrassi Junior High, and now we're on Degrassi High. And seeing how much of a big turnout there was for the Degrassi Junior High era, a whole bunch of people it was them watching it for the very first time with us. They'd never seen it. So that made me want to do a Degrassi Junior High book. And then the reason I picked Spike is because similar to Snake, she is one of the TNG characters that comes in as well. So to get a lot of pull whenever you're advertising these kind of events, having characters that we're already familiar with really makes people interested in seeing like, okay, well, what I want to learn more about the character Spike because we know her so well. Someday I would love to do other characters like there's some BLT books, but I know like the ones like Spike, Caitlin, Snake, and Joey, those are the ones that are probably going to get the biggest attendance or the biggest attention from the Degrassi fan community.
That makes a lot of sense, really, because like I'm always wondering, will we ever do like the Melanie book or anything like that? But you explained it very well. It makes
Yeah.
more sense.
Yeah, and I would love to someday. I think that's especially if we do a few more of these bigger ones, it would be draw more interest into people coming to those ones and learning about those characters. But I know the first ones should probably be the ones that people are most excited about.
Yes, that does make a lot of sense. Speaking of our Throwback Thursdays, which episodes do you think people should watch up to avoid spoilers for this book?
Interesting. Well, the thing about this book in comparison to the Snake Book Club is that Spike's storyline appears quite a few times throughout Degrassi Junior High. I came prepared with the episodes that are reflected in the book. It's late. We learn about Spike's first time having sex and finding out that she's pregnant. Dinner and a show. We learn about the father's family reacting to the whole ordeal. Censored is the school reacting and the parents reacting to Spike being pregnant. Egbert is kind of them exploring the responsibility that comes with being a parent. And then, of course, in past tense is when she actually gives birth to Emma. So I guess if you don't want to learn anything about what happens in the book, don't watch those episodes. But if you'd like to see how they take the themes explored in the show and reference it in a novel format, those are the 5 episodes I would say that you need to be familiar with when reading the book.
And will we be watching any of those episodes as part of the book club?
We won't be watching all of the episodes because we just hosted Throwback Thursday and we did just have a whole bunch of Degrassi Junior High nights. But I will be providing those to people to be able to watch, and we'll watch clips from it whenever we're doing discussions. But since there's 5 episodes, they're all, about half an hour and we just watch them, it's kind of going to be your additional homework if you're interested in seeing how it was reflected on the show. Because there are some things that they don't cover in the book that they kind of gloss over that I thought was pretty interesting. It'll be fun to talk about.
I can agree with that. I only read the reprint version because I didn't get the original until recently.
Exciting.
But I will agree. I really enjoyed how they incorporated, especially Egbert, into the book. That's one of my favorite episodes.
I agree. I think they did a really good job at taking the world that already exists and building onto it and not just doing kind of like a recap book. They gave us more insight into what Spike's feeling, into what the baby daddy is feeling, and what her own mom is feeling. And what I particularly liked was learning about because Spike's mom was a teen mom, how she was personally feeling about now her daughter also being a teen mom. I thought that was very interesting.
I like that part a lot because they kind of explore the possibility of another teen mom coming from a teen mom. And this happens again in TNG when Emma thinks she's pregnant with Sean's baby. And
Yes.
It's like, oh, is this a generational curse of some kind?
That would be absolutely insane if that happened.
I really enjoy it. It was very like what Degrassi does a lot of the time when they reuse storylines and they show how different people from different generations can react and how times change and then not change,
Yeah, exactly. The core storytelling definitely stays the same. And I remember reading the planning documents. I remember Spike's mom was supposed to date Mr. Radich. That was one of the proposed storylines. And then if that had happened, Emma's mom dating Mr. Simpson would just make that even crazier. And I think Spike would also be a little bit more sympathetic to knowing like, hey, I went through this and I know, but like, I love him. Like, sorry.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been really interesting. And I know so many people find young Radich like super attractive. I don't get it, but I know so many people do.
I think it'd be interesting. And then I think it would change the dynamic of maybe how he shows up for Spike at school to maybe advocate that she should be allowed there, or maybe giving her different, like additional resources to help with being a teen mom. I think it would have been really interesting, and I wish they had have explored it.
Yes, but then that would have been like favoritism.
Yes. Well, I'm okay with Spike getting favoritism because she's getting favoritism from me. We're doing her book, one of the first ones.
That's a really good point. Yeah. It is like it's the second Degrassi Junior High character book to ever come out.
That's a
The first
perfect
one was
timing.
Stephanie K.
I love that. We do love a good Stephanie K. Stephanie K would be a really good book club.
It would. I wish we got to see more of her character.
Same, me too.
Like, that's not even a hot take.
That's just a fact. I just wish we got to see more Stephanie. Though,
Yeah.
I know I'm getting a little off track. I do think because Stephanie wasn't kind of the star of the show anymore, it really left room for those other characters that we were introduced to kind of grow and blossom and become our fan favorites.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like if Stephanie K got more of a spotlight, there wouldn't be the Kathleens and the Melanies.
Yeah. A lot of the early season one is so filtered through like what Stephanie K is doing in her lens and her friendships and stuff that I think it once she kind of decided she wasn't going to be in the show, that's when we were able to get our Joey storylines, our Caitlyn storylines, our snakes becoming out more. So a bittersweet departure, I would say.
Yes. And I feel like you especially can have that point of view because you do so much research and watch Degrassi like all the time.
Constantly. 24/7.
Can you tell me what kind of research did you do for this book club?
Yes. So, of course, I read through the Spike book and I kind of wrote down my own takeaways. What do I think would be good? Discussion questions, notes that I noticed where they had kind of either skipped over things that had happened in the show or maybe added their own things that I didn't expect to kind of start discussions about those things. And also, luckily, I had done a whole podcast about the history of Degrassi books. And I did a lot of research on Spike specifically because of the writer Loretta Castellarin. We'll talk about this a lot in the book club, but a quick 40-second summary here is that she was hired specifically to do the research for Spike's episode, It's Late. And her research was also used throughout those other episodes I mentioned of battling teen pregnancy. And it was just perfect that she was the person who got to work on the book because she was able to take all that extra research and put it into her writing. So a lot of our topics during the book club will be more about learning about Loretta's process and how she got to write this book and got to write the episode and her biggest takeaways about covering teen pregnancy.
That's perfect. That's exactly the kind of person you want to write a book like this.
Yeah. It seems like when she got into it, she really cared about it and wanted to like get all that information out that she could and really stood behind the decisions of Spike's character. And I really love that because I understand that through Degrassi, once you dive into it, you just want to keep going and you're like, no, listen, here's all this stuff that I've learned. Here's how we're going to like do events and do all these things. So I could really relate to Loretta Castellarin kind of hyper fixating on researching teen pregnancy and wanting to show it through her work.
That makes me wonder, for the Snake Book Club, you took us through that tour of queer history on television that I was talking about earlier. Will you be doing a similar thing with teen pregnancy on television for this book club?
I like that. So we'll be doing something a little differently. The reason that I felt it was important to go through the history of homosexuality on TV during that time is because Snake's brother only gets that one episode. So with Spike, we get years and years of her kind of showing us what it's like to be a teen mom, all the experiences that she went through. But with Snake, we're only kind of locked into one episode. We don't even really get to see much happen because all of the conflict between Glenn and his parents doesn't even appear on the show. They don't really reference it again. Spike's thing comes up over and over again. So for me, it felt important to kind of capture, okay, where does this one episode and this one story kind of fall into the history of the 80s and what life was really like back then? But with Spike's storyline, I feel like they really showed it to us. I feel like by watching Degrassi Junior High, I understand what it was like from so many different points of view to have a baby in the 80s, even with other storylines like Erica's storyline with the abortion and Liz protesting against that and her own sister protesting and Spike being for pro-choice because of this. I think we kind of get an idea of what that was like. So instead, what I want to take us through is Loretta Castellarin's process of how she did all of this research, why so much of the research in the book is truly founded on what she learned, even if it went against her own kind of preconceptions. For example, she went into this researching thinking that most girls who became teen moms probably wanted out of the situation, whether it's through abortion or wanted to give it up for adoption, whatever. But she had actually learned that a lot of these kids that she was interviewing felt really protective after they got pregnant and wanted to keep their babies and were maybe struggling with other people wanting them not to have their babies, which I think we do see through Spike's lens of her saying, but like, this is my baby, like I need to keep her. So I think looking at Loretta's process of why she dived so deep into this is the lens that I would like to explore this time because we just know so much about what it was like to be pregnant in the 1980s.
That's actually a really good point because we do see a lot of, oh, Shane's dad wants her to give it up for adoption, and then we get to see the abortion later on, and Liz and Heather, and yeah, you're really just right. Like, of course, you're right.
Well, thank you. I've put a lot of thought into it because, I could go the easy route and just do a copy and paste and do exactly what we did last time. But I think we got all that information. I don't know if it would add anything better. And I again, through learning about the community and community, feedback of what we all like, I think learning new things and getting new perceptions about the show that we love is what we're really here for. So I think it would just be a little repetitive to talk about pregnancy in the 1980s.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I
Thanks.
I think we all just strive to learn new things and learn from each other and have a collaborative time, especially with these book clubs,
Yeah.
and really reflect on what our favorite show teaches to all of us in different ways.
Yeah, and the thing that I wanted to accomplish with the Snake Book Club is I wanted to put you inside of the mind of someone in the audience. You're living in the 1980s, you have a limited point of view about homosexuality. This is the one episode you're watching. What is kind of the lens that you're going in with, and how would the book make a young queer person feel in the 80s? I wanted to put you in that kind of position. And with this one, instead, I want to put you in the writer's position. What is it like to learn all this information and then transform it into a TV show and then go even deeper into a book? So I think my goal with the book clubs is to put you in a certain point of view, and expand your learning about our favorite TV show.
That makes it sound like so much more fun than it already sounds like to me.
Good. I like that. I like that.
So, can you give us a trigger warning for this book at all for anyone who is not prepared and hasn't seen the episodes yet?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest trigger warning I can put through is judgment. There is a lot of people who have opinions about what Spike should or should not do. There's also, a question that we'll explore is the question of consent. Was this technically a consensual experience? Was it not a consensual experience? What does that look like? Um, but overall, I don't quite remember there being anything too extreme, but just being aware that there's a lot of opinions that are being thrown around in this book about what Spike should or shouldn't do with her own body. Also, content warning: frustration over Shane and how he handles all of these things. That's
I
probably one
feel
too.
that one.
You're gonna be frustrated when you read this book. That's for sure.
I remember I read Spike's book, and then right after I was like, I gotta read Shane's because
Yes.
I felt so irritated by him. But at the same time, I wanted to see more of his point of view, more of what is he going through? Why does
Yeah.
he feel so strongly that she must give it up for adoption and not even have a choice of abortion? As
Yeah.
well as you bring up the really good point, was this consensual? And
Yeah.
they really dance around that. It's very similar to the Holly J experience.
Yes. Holly Jane Declan, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I really came away from Shane's book feeling like sympathy that I did not want to feel.
Ah, interesting. I wonder if this will prompt us to explore into the world of Shane's book. I have read all these books, but I read them when they were added to my collection, which was like 12 or 13 years ago now. So it's kind of information that's out of my brain. So I don't even hardly remember what. And I'm an adult now. So I think the way that I would read Shane's book now is probably a lot different than when I was a teenager myself.
I will say I read the books, well, most of them, not all of them. I have not done all of them yet. Most of the books I started reading before I started my podcast when I was first adding them to my collection and just not sure what to do with them yet, but having a lot of opinions and feelings.
Yeah, I agree. They're good books. They did a really good job.
My goal is to force all of my friends to read these books and talk to me about them.
Good. Okay. Well, then I'm glad this book club is happening because that's the perfect. We'll make it happen.
Yes, thank you. You are now my cohort.
Let me know whatever you want anytime, and we'll make it happen.
Yes, cohort and co-host at the same time.
I like that. That's cute.
So, one of our favorite things about the past book clubs have been mail out tier packages.
We like those. I'm a fan of them.
I want to know, what is the Spike Book Club getting for mail out packages?
Yes, this month. So this month's package will include a Spike bookmark. It is a Degrassi The Next Generation package, but I mean, Spike was on Degrassi The Next Generation, so it totally counts. The reason that I wanted to add a Spike bookmark into the packages is because it's the easiest way to just kind of get things mailed out. A lot of the people who are going to join our book club are likely already on Patreon, especially the packages in some way. So it was just kind of an easy way to add on this extra thing and ship it out to people. But yeah, everybody's going to be getting a Spike bookmark. And then, of course, if anyone in the book club isn't on Patreon and would like one or isn't on the mail out tier, they can always just send me a message and we will make it happen and we will send it to them. But I predict that a majority of the people who will come to the book club are probably already on the mail out tier. There's a lot of yous out there and I love it.
So then to clarify, this is not Patreon exclusive book club.
This will be similar to the snake one. It will be a Patreon book club, but you can be on any tier. You don't have to be on the mailer tier. Like you don't have to sign up for the bookmark to then become part of the book club or anything like that.
So then for anyone who doesn't know, what is your lowest tier on Patreon?
Yes, the lowest tier is called the Dot Cafe. That is the one that gets you access to everything on the Discord primarily. So our Discord, we have after school clubs. We have a Patreon only hangout called the Dot. In Canadian dollars, it's $3 a month. I think in the US, it's like $2.50 a month, I think. And you are so free to just join it for the book club. And then if you want to dip after, that is totally fine. And the reason that I do these ones for Patreon only is simply because it takes so much work than a regular event. I mean, I've started researching this book months ago. There's all the research with Loretta. And even the bookmarks, it'll help cover that extra cost of the bookmarks because it was just something I added to the package so we could get them out for the book clubs. And the reason that I tend to do Patreon book clubs as well for these smaller ones is because it's so much easier to plan and kind of host events when you have folks in the community who are already like I don't want to say that if you're on Patreon, that's the only way that you're invested. But if you're on Patreon, you're typically a very active member already. We kind of, you're like familiar with Discord a little bit. It's easier to kind of teach you. It's easier to kind of manage a group of Patreon events than kind of a free for all. Anybody can pop in at any time, and we don't know who's going to show up, how many people, that kind of thing. So I have found through doing Patreon events, it's a little easier on my end to plan, prepare, know what to expect, know how to, handle if new people are joining, what's going on, how to handle the bookmarks. So for me, I found it's much easier to advertise it as a Patreon event and host it on our Dot.
That makes a lot of sense. And I feel safer when I know that the group's a little bit smaller and I'm not trying to absorb so many people at once.
Yeah, and it's just so much easier because with public events, I do love all the public events we do on the Discord. We do so many of them, Throwback Thursdays, all these things. But it can be intimidating when brand new people who you've never seen before are kind of like popping in and out, throughout the event. You're not sure when they're going to come, when they're going to go. And I don't want to discourage new people from joining the book club because if you come to our book club, we will be so happy to have you. But the thing about public events is they're so like, oh, join whatever, join like 50 minutes into the middle of an event and just start like talking to us. Whereas this is something that's structured. We have a plan. And it's so much easier to do that in a controlled environment where we kind of know who the community is going to be. But if you're brand new, join. Like I don't want to discourage a brand new person from not coming. We want you here and we want to learn about you in our own little book club.
I'll agree with that. And something that can be a lot easier to help people join is free access to the book. I want to announce that I found a scanned version on archive.org already for free. It'll be linked in the description down below.
That makes me so happy because that makes the book club so much more accessible. I did announce this one, or I am going to be announcing this one a lot farther in advance so people can have time to get the book. I know some people prefer get a book copy, but it makes me so happy that there's an option for anyone to be able to read it. So I'm very, very happy that you did that.
I will also put a link where you can purchase the book in the description for this episode. Yes, I found it in English and in French. I was very surprised.
Perfect. That'll be for Sarah J. She can read that one.
Yes. I have not mastered learning French yet. I completely gave up on it. I was like, I'm not going to do this.
I was officially bilingual and then I didn't speak it for several years. So now I'm back to square one. Back to just being a pineapple.
I love the French pineapple.
Just be na na na. What can I say?
Can you spoil which part of this book is like a favorite of yours or a least favorite, maybe?
I can. I have two favorites, but I think one of the things that I really admire about this book is because I know so much about Loretta and her research and how much she cared about it, was getting to see the moments where she got to use her research to tell more stories about other teenagers who are pregnant. So I loved that Spike, she goes to this community group, talks to other girls around her same age who are going through similar experiences. And I really admired that because we as an audience get to see more than just one point of view. It's not just Spike's world in which she's living in. We get to see other teenagers. And I know that probably meant a lot to Loretta to be able to say, like, hey, these are the other types of ways that other people might feel. This is what I've learned through talking to other people. So that I think is one of the moments that stood out to me that's not in the show that is reflected in the book.
That sounds like something they would discuss in Degrassi Talks.
Yes, exactly.
I love Degrassi Talks, and I'm sure you know this, but a lot of people might not know that. I do love it.
It's a really good show. Unfortunately, I have to be like really mentally well to watch it, but it does help, especially as a researcher. It's if you're gonna try to learn about the history of Degrassi in that era, Degrassi Talks is an amazing place to turn to. The actors share so much. I mean, Amanda Septo is adopted in real life. How incredible that she went on to have the storyline where she kind of battled between giving her own baby up for adoption.
Yes, and that actually, when she talks to Wheels, is a great part of that conversation.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Did you do any research with the Degrassi Talks books? Because I know watching is very hard for you.
Oh, interesting. So there are some, I guess, discussions that will, or maybe like information I'll add to the book club during the first meeting where we kind of learned that definitely draws from the Degrassi Talks book, specifically like the fact that Amanda Septo is adopted. But I haven't specifically gone through and reread or rewatched anything from Degrassi Talks for this. It's just kind of information that's seeped into my brain over the years.
That makes sense. I just got the Degrassi Talks sex book and have not read it yet, but really am dying to. So I
Oh,
was
that'll
really
be
intrigued.
perfect. I like that. You'll have extra comments to share during the book club whenever we get to it.
Yes. Do you have a favorite quote from the book at all, or anything else you could share?
Ooh, I don't necessarily have a favorite quote, but another thing that I really liked about this book is, as we know, Spike's mom was a teen mom. So to hear more insight into how she dealt with it, how her mom dealt with her being a teen mom, and how Spike kind of reflects on that. She really feels like she ruined her mom's life. And there's a moment where she kind of reflects on, well, I don't want to ruin her life again by having Emma. And I think like the like that is a moment that made me want to cry. Like this little girl having this weight that she ruined her mom's life, and then that Emma will also ruin her mom's life. It just made me so sad to think about that she even had to worry about carrying an emotional weight like that in junior high. But I think such a powerful moment to see that from Spike because I don't know if I really picked up from the show that she would even have those kind of worries in her mind about being a burden on her own mother when she was born.
That's another moment I feel like we see reflected in TNG when Spike's like, "Oh, I made this mistake again," and Emma's like, "I'm a mistake to you,"
Yeah.
and she has like that existential crisis at such a young age.
Yeah, yeah. And to see that reflected in the book, I think is really, really cool because I don't know if I would have picked up that Spike felt that way.
I think you're right. I wouldn't have picked up on it either. She had so many other things to stress out about.
Exactly. So I really, really, really like that.
I feel like if I could pick any Spike storyline for a character book, this would be the one. Do you agree, or would you choose another?
I definitely think this would be the one, but it did miss two things for me that I wish we got to see. I guess I thought it was kind of interesting that they didn't include, Caitlin is out here like writing an article about her. They have this big conflict. They kind of really skip over that and share just the bare bones moments from that episode. I would have liked to see, her interact with another character like Caitlin and here. I was kind of going into it hoping like, okay, what is the like more, what is really in Spike's head when she's living through that? But I suppose in the episode she does really, really get real on how she feels. And I wish we got to see her in motherhood. Like I wish we got to see those moments of her being at home with Emma. What is going through her mind? Is she thinking, are there's words that someone said to her that are replaying in her mind? Or is she like, no, look, I'm proving you wrong? I wish we got to see, I kind of wish we had a Spike part two or maybe an Emma, baby Emma book, to see what the motherhood actually turned out to be like because we stopped going in the show. We stopped going home with Spike after she has her baby. Emma only ever comes to the school now. But what is it like to be like 14 at home with a toddler or a child and actually taking care of them while balancing your life? I really wish we got to see that.
I'll agree with that. And I can understand like financially why they wouldn't want us to go home with Emma and having a baby on the set and everything.
Yeah.
But especially after, and I don't want to spoil too much, but what happens with Shane and everything that he goes through, where he like falls or jumps, whoever really knows, off of the bridge, and how that could affect her, not just like emotionally, but also financially.
Yeah.
Both of those are really hard things to go through, and we don't get to see it on the show. They really
Yeah.
skirt around it.
Exactly. I really wish we kind of got to see more, but we did already see so much of Spike, so I get it. I get like you can only go so deep, but that's what I wish.
Yeah, they are definitely balancing so many different characters. That's like,
Yes.
yeah, I get it, but good
Yeah,
job.
give me one more episode with going home with Spike, please.
Yes. Out of all of the teen pregnancies, and feel free to say all of them,
Hmm.
which ones do you think deserve character books the most?
Okay, well, my top pick is going to be Jenna Middleton because I think because we got to go home with her, which I wish we got with Spike, we got to see so much about, her home life and actually dealing with raising a child at home. And I would have loved to see more from her point of view. Like, what is she thinking when she's sitting at home with Tyson? And what is she really thinking about KC? Because I know she does communicate how she feels to him, but I feel like it's kind of like once it blows up, like once she finally is like done with it, then she's like, okay, like you need to do better at this. And I would love to see just like when she is home alone with Tyson, what are those feelings like? What are her feelings of being judged by her friends? She has her own family life that she's dealing with. I would have loved to see a little bit more, more of a diary into Jenna's point of view in dealing with that.
I do love your answer, but I'm going to highly disagree and say Erica Farrell.
Okay, fair, fair.
She goes off to a summer camp that no one ever hears about and meets some guy that I don't even
Right.
remember the name of, calls him a
Jason.
jerk. Jason?
Jason. I
Okay,
remember.
the name Jason is so popular in Degrassi. I'm not, don't even get me started.
That is so true. I wonder if maybe I'm not as interested in that because I don't know, sometimes we just have hookups that go wrong. I think we got that with Spike, I think. So I don't know. I like where we get into Erica's storyline. I can tell you I do not need a book about Claire. I'm Claired
Clear's
out.
enough.
I don't need a Claire book. I don't need a Claire book. Mia would be interesting because her
Yes.
dynamic with Luke or Lucas is like so much different than what we've seen. But I think it would hurt my heart too much to read it. I think that would be on the Degrassi Talks level. The moment when he says this isn't his daughter because he wants to avoid getting in trouble, that hurt my soul. I could not see moments like that in a book.
I'll agree with that. That
Yeah.
party is heartbreaking every time.
Yes. But yeah, no Claire. I'm Team Jenna. I can get behind an Erica book. That would be interesting, especially an Erica and Heather book. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yes, that is the angle I'm
Mia
going for.
and no Claire. No Claire for sure. Don't give me a Claire book.
No, too much Claire ever in the show. I loved her before Eli, but after it was too much.
Yeah. Getting a Schools Out Tessa Campanelli book too and her leading up to her abortion and the aftermath of the
Yes.
abortion. That would be
Please.
interesting.
Yes.
I'd be down for that.
Do you see a fifth book club in the future? And if so, which book would you choose?
Good question. So definitely yes. I love doing book clubs. They're a lot of work, so that's why we don't do them super often. But I
Yes.
do love doing them. And I don't have one in mind right now, but I know that whenever I feel like, okay, I'm ready to handle taking on the work of another book club, it will be based on what I think the community wants at that time. So
Okay.
that could be like maybe if we end up going on Throwback Thursdays, if we end up going into the next generation, maybe we end up getting around an era that is covered in one of the Degrassi extra credit books. Like maybe that's what we might react to. Or maybe there's someone from the show that has written a book that we're interested in kind of exploring. So it'll definitely be based on whatever I think the community will be interested in at the time. And this Spike one was perfect because soon we're going to be at the very end of our Degrassi High Throwback Thursday watch party. At the end of our Throwback Thursdays, when we finish the Degrassi Schools Out movie, that's when we're going to be starting the Spike Book Club. And kind of that slot of where I know people are already available on Thursdays, are already interested in doing this kind of stuff. We're going to take a little break from the watch parties and do this book club. So our next one, it'll be like, okay, where does it fit? What's right for the community? What is everybody feeling?
That's actually really good because we might end up feeling like, okay, we did Spike, now let's do Emma, and she's got an extra credit book, or we might feel like a memoir, or we never know. That's
Exactly.
so much fun.
Yeah. And to be honest, so many things with the Degrassi Kid community are so unexpected. Like people reach out to me about things all the time that you would never know where life is going to go. Like these zines that we recently did with Pat Bevan from Degrassi Junior High, I never would have dreamed that we could have done that, but it just kind of happened. So, yeah, we'll see. I'll be excited to know next time we have another book club what prompted us to pick that as that book.
That's awesome. I totally agree. So sadly, I only had a limited amount of time with Degrassi Kid, and there was a question that I meant to ask and completely forgot because I was just having so much fun talking to one of my best friends about one of my favorite subjects. So I sent them a message on Discord the next day. It says, "Hey, I have a question that I should have added into the interview that I'm currently editing. You recorded all of the meetings for the last 3 book clubs and added them to Patreon, so if anyone missed anything, they can listen and not feel left out. Will you be doing that again?" They said, "Good question. I definitely plan to. I know there's a lot of folks who won't be able to make the scheduled events, and it's nice to have options for everyone. So, if you want to know the vibes of our book clubs, you can go to their Patreon, which I will have linked in the description of this episode, and listen to past book club episodes. And now you know that our book clubs will be recorded and you can listen to them on Patreon, which is super cool. I listen to the Snake Book Clubs pretty often. I had so much fun with that one. So now you can have fun with them too. And we also forgot to plug our social medias. So if you're looking to follow us, Degrassi Kid is at Degrassi Kid on Instagram and TikTok. And this podcast is at Bruce Mackey Library on Instagram. And if you want to follow me, I'm at Lucey0520 on Instagram. Have a nice day. Bye.